June 15th, 1859. San Juan Island, Pacific Northwest. An American farmer walks outside his house and sees something that makes his blood boil. Not for the first time. He's complained, he's tried to be reasonable, but nothing has changed. So he makes a decision. A decision that will, within weeks, bring the United States and Great Britain to the brink of war. By August 10, 1859, 461 American soldiers with 14 cannons are dug in on the island. 5 British warships carrying 2,140 men and 70 guns are anchored offshore. This standoff would last 12 years, and by the end, there would be only one casualty. Not a soldier, not a sailor, not a civilian, something else entirely. This is the story of the most absurd international conflict in modern history. And it all started with one farmer, one morning, and one very bad decision. To understand how this near war started, you need to know about the Oregon Treaty of 1846. For decades, the United States and Britain had been arguing over who owned the Pacific Northwest. In 1846, they finally agreed on a compromise. The border would run along the 49th parallel. Simple, right? The treaty said the border would go south through the channel to the Pacific Ocean. Problem: there are 2 channels, the Haro Strait to the west, the Rosario Strait to the east, and right between them, the San Juan Islands. Naturally, the Americans said, the treaty clearly means the Haro Strait. The islands are ours. The British said, no, it obviously means the Rosario Strait. The islands are ours. Both sides started sending settlers to the islands. By 1853, the British Hudson's Bay Company had established a large sheep farm called Bellevue Farm. Meanwhile, American settlers were also moving in. By 1859, there were about 20 to 30 American settlers living on the island alongside the British, and for the most part, they got along fine, until one farmer had enough. The farmer's name was Lyman Cutler, and on the morning of June 15, 1859, he walked outside and found his potato patch being destroyed again. The culprit? A large Berkshire boar. The pig belonged to Charles Griffin, the manager of the Hudson's Bay Company's sheep farm. Cutler had complained before. Nothing changed, so this time, Cutler grabbed his rifle and shot the pig dead. He immediately went to Griffin and admitted what he'd done. He offered $10 in compensation. Griffin was furious. He demanded $100. Cutler refused. Griffin reported Cutler to British authorities, who threatened to arrest him. The American settlers were outraged. They armed themselves and petitioned the U.S. military for protection. The petition reached General William S. Harney. Harney was known for his anti-British views. Without much hesitation, he sent Company D of the 9th U.S. Infantry, 66 men under the command of Captain George Pickett, to San Juan Island. Yes, that George Pickett. Pickett landed on the island, set up camp, and planted the American flag. His orders: protect American settlers. Do not let the British arrest anyone. When British Governor James Douglas heard that American troops had landed, he was furious. He ordered 3 British warships to the island as a show of force. But Hornby hesitated. Pickett told him, in no uncertain terms, if you try to land Marines, we will fight. It would be a massacre, but it would also be an act of war. When Admiral Baines finally arrived, He took one look at the situation and essentially said, "Are you kidding me?" Governor Douglas ordered Baines to attack. Baines refused. He reportedly said, "I am not going to involve two great nations in a war over a squabble about a peg." President James Buchanan sent General Winfield Scott to negotiate a peaceful resolution. Scott was 73 years old, overweight, suffering from gout, and barely mobile. But he was a legendary diplomat. They reached an agreement. Both sides would jointly occupy the island with a token force of no more than 100 men each. The Americans would camp on the south end. The British would camp on the north end. And it would last for 12 years. So what happened during those 12 years? Nothing violent. The American and British camps coexisted peacefully. Soldiers from both sides visited each other. They celebrated each other's national holidays. The war was so uneventful that it became a tourist attraction. Civilians from Victoria sailed to the island to watch the standoff. Finally, in 1871, the United States and Great Britain negotiated the Treaty of Washington. They agreed to submit the question to international arbitration. The arbitrator? Kaiser Wilhelm I of Germany. On October 21, 1872, the Commission ruled in favor of the United States. The border would run through the Haro Strait. The San Juan Islands belonged to the United States. On November 24, 1872, British troops left San Juan Island aboard HMS Scout. The Pig War was over. Total human casualties, 0. Total pig casualties, 1. Today, both the American and British camps are preserved as part of San Juan Island National Historical Park. It's the only place in a U.S. national park where a foreign flag, the British Union Jack, is regularly raised over American soil. Two great powers came to the brink of war over the stupidest possible reason, and instead of fighting, they chose negotiation. Instead of bloodshed, they chose patience. Instead of war, they chose peace.